Show.
Good to meet you, Susan.
I told you, stop calling me Shirley.
Exactly.
However that line goes, I think I said it wrong.
Live
Very long.
on Facebook, YouTube, and
Did I say long or wrong?
Long.
I can't speak. It's going to be a good show.
This is going to either be the best or the worst show we've ever done.
They're all the worst shows I've ever done. It just keeps getting progressively worse. First show, perfect. Every other show since, devolution.
I'm not your therapist.
Exactly. All right, we live on everything?
yep. I want to check to see if
I don't
that's
wanna
same.
Drop dead right in front of you.
Okay. Who's going to drop dead in front of me? What?
I just you were doing the bit from Office Space. We were talking to his therapist. Every day is worse than the one before it.
Oh.
Does that mean today is the worst day of your life?
We're good on everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll it. Welcome to Kilts and Culture. I am Rocky. This is Eric.
Victorian England had a huge influence on the fashions and styles that were happening in Highland dressing in Scotland.
Tartan is Scotland's gift to the world, and it is your personal heritage story. Howdy do, boys and girls. Welcome to Kilts and Culture. I am Rocky. That's not Eric. It's Ian. Today, special treat. We are trying Speyburn Braden Ork. You have to your CHs. Braden Ork. Jim Sheaves gave this to us back in May, so we're going to try this and give you our honest feedback. Other special treat today in the MC chair, we have Miss Emma again. So if they bring her in, there she is. There she is. So yes. So any ladies out there, add in the ladies' questions. We're going to be answering all kinds of stuff today. All right. So do we have the tasting notes for this? I just realized. I don't know.
Yes.
You got them?
Yeah,
Sweet.
got 'em
all
right
right.
here.
Are we getting spayed to review this one?
I'll spay you if you keep making that joke. Your wife may appreciate it. All right, Emma, why don't you give us some tasting notes?
Yes. Tasting notes for this one. To the nose, we should be experiencing some green apples, honey, lemon, and vanilla.
Honey, lemon, and vanilla. That is interesting. It's not the usual combination of things you hear about.
All right, why don't you come on out here and collect your glass, and while you are here, tell us the tartan that you have on today. What do you got on there?
Yeah, this is Buchanan Antique Tweed.
Ooh, very nice, very nice. All right.
How about you there, Rocky? What you wearing?
It's you have to go next then.
Oh,
yes.
Sorry.
There's
I
an
guess
order. There's always an
I'm
order.
rusty. I'm wearing the Raelia tartan.
Yes.
Commemorating H.P. Lovecraft.
Lovecraftian tartan.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. And today I have on my American Dream tartan with my brand new sweater, nice and cozy. All right, enough of this. So I wasn't even listening. Green apples, you said, and something
Yeah.
else?
Green apples, honey, lemon, and vanilla.
I'm smelling the inferior apples. Are we all in agreement that red apples are the best? No, apparently not. Oh, we can have a fight on the show. Now, green apples are better for cooking. I don't know what's better for scotch.
Depends on what kind of green apples. Yeah.
Not too sour.
I like the tart. That's sour tart. They're tart.
All right,
Okay.
the taste is subtle with honey and vanilla, yet full-bodied, creamy and smooth with a long, spicy finish, energetic and appealing. This is the brightest member of the Speyburn range.
Definitely getting the spicy finish.
The spicy finish hit me like 7 or 8 seconds later.
Spicy finish. Wasn't that your favorite ska band back in the day?
They were from Finland. Like how that joke took a second too. All right, so. All right.
I'm not getting the sweet element so much.
I am. I'm getting a little sweet. Emma, how are you tasting any? Are you picking up what they're putting down?
I don't mind this one. I'm not really picking up much of anything on it. It's very, I don't know, subtle, I guess I would say to me. There's not anything that's like punching me in the face.
Not the biggest fan of Speyside scotches, though.
I've grown to like them a lot more. One of the first scotches we tried on the show was Shield Egg, and that a customer gave to us. And I really, really liked it, and it's a Speyside as well, I think. So yeah, it's a nice. It's more balanced. When you're in the mood for a kick in the teeth, you go with a Lagavulin or an Ardbeg or something like that. But if you're in the mood for just a nice even, simple, yeah, it's not bad.
I wouldn't say Speyside strikes me as simple as a rule. It just tends to be on the more spicy side. So I don't know.
To me, it's more mellow. I'll put it that way. Okay. Oh, geez, water really cut the hell out of this. It's like I made it a cocktail. It's that's a lot.
Picking up a little bit more on the sweetness now.
Yeah.
Certainly not overwhelming though. It's subtle on the sweet.
And it took out all the peppery, spicy finish to me as well.
I'm not picking up on any of the specific sweet flavors. I'm not like vanilla and honey and I forget what the other one was, but just generically a little sweet.
Yeah, I think that's the honey to me. I'm tasting honey as I'm not like I don't actually like honey. I don't put it on things, but I get that. It's a little viscous, kind of like film in the mouth. It's a little bit sweet, and that's the honey kind of thing to me. Emma, are you getting any of this?
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit sweet. It's not eliciting a Jace's face from me, so I'm actually, it's more palatable for me than other ones I've tried. So I do get a little bit of the sweetness. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's not super complex. Not picking up on a lot of the individual little notes.
Yeah.
But it's not bad.
I like it fine.
Yeah.
No major objections.
Yeah, I will have a second glass. I like it that much. Okay, Emma, score it 1 to 10. Get in there with the decimals. Tell me.
Yeah, I think I'm going with maybe a 6.3 on this one.
6.3. Okay.
Last time I was on, I gave what we had a 5, and this is definitely more along what I would drink than that. So 6.3, solid.
Okay.
So what normally happens is I give a number and then you scold me and tell me what the rating scale means. Well, now that you tell me, I'll change my answer. So remind me again, where are we at?
8 and above is you would drive somewhere to get it.
Yeah.
2 and below, you're gonna refuse it.
Yeah.
5 is it's fine. Like 7 is like it's pretty good.
So 5 is you would buy it, but it's just fine, or it's like I probably wouldn't even buy it, but if it's given to me, because that's where I'm at.
5, yeah, it's more if it's given to you, that's around a 5.
5.
If you like it and you would probably purchase it, then yeah. Do we know what it costs? Can we Google what it costs real quick?
I would say I'm solidly at a 5. I'm happy to accept Jim's gift. It was very kind of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, just not blowing me away.
Okay.
Go for something else.
I like it more than them. I'm not as rude as Ian is. I'm gonna go 7.5. I enjoy it. I wouldn't necessarily drive out of my way to go get it. But especially with a little bit of water, maybe I poured a few too many drops in. But with a little bit of water, I do like it. It definitely cut down the spiciness, which I'm not a big fan of, so the water helped. But yeah, 7.5.
Okay.
Good solid scotch. So there you go. Speyburn. What's it called again? Braden. Orach. Yes.
Orach.
Indeed. Cool. All right, boys and girls. Load in your questions down in the comments. We are but your humble servants here to answer your questions, as always, about anything kilt or culture related. As you load in your stuff, I'm going to go to Ian for one of our pre-asked questions.
Yeah, we got a question from Steven Schrader. He says, can we just call this my birthday show, since it's the next day?
Sure.
I'd say
Happy
no.
birthday. Yeah. Yeah,
But
no,
I mean.
no, I'm not allowed. No. Sure. Happy birthday. Enjoy. Here, what's his name again? Steven Schrader?
Yeah.
To Steven on another trip around the sun. Slanchava.
Okay, that was quick. Let's get into another one.
Fair. Good job, Steven.
JJ Davidson. I got engaged on New Year's Eve, planning on a spring of 25 wedding, so he's got some time.
Okay.
But I want to lose some weight before then. When or how would be the best time / way to order a kilt for the reception / we got too many slashes going here. Reception / rehearsal dinner. Probably not going full PC, but rather a tweed suit.
Okay. So a tweed kilt suit, not a Prince Charlie and tartan kilt. All right. Or even if it's not a tweed kilt, even if it's a tartan kilt and a tweed. hitting a moving target on weight is difficult for any tailor or any kilt maker. So I would take the longest part of the outfit, which frankly would be the jacket, because we don't make the jackets now, so we have those made over in Scotland. So if you're going to get a custom tweed jacket and vest, meaning a specific tweed and specific accoutrement with the jacket, and you want this type of cuff, this many buttons, and I would start with that and kind of work your way backwards. That's when you want to stop losing weight. So if a tweed jacket and vest takes, on average, roughly 8 or 10 weeks, I'd add a little bit of time to make sure that the tweed is in stock, because if it's out of stock and it's the only one that you want, you're kind of up the creek there.
Yeah, for sure.
So I would say, if it's going to be 8 or 10 weeks, maybe at like the 14 to 15 week out mark as a minimum, I would make sure you have your order in, done and dusted. Potentially even a little bit more than that. So spring 2025, we are currently in January 2024. I'd say make sure you go on your diet, start lifting weights, start running, start doing whatever you're going to do to lose the weight, and then kind of try to plateau, try to hit the ideal weight, and then maintain by end of November of this year.
Yeah.
So start maintaining, and then get your order in for, if it's with us, wonderful. If it's not, with the other company, by the end of this year. So that way, if it's, end of March, that kind of time frame for the wedding, great. You have 3 months to get it done.
Yeah.
That's my generic advice. Ian, any other thoughts?
Yeah, this is kind of repeating what you said, but it just depends on how particular you are. There's one tartan for me, and there's only one example of it. I'll use Old Scotland tweed as an example. If that's for me, then you need some extra time built in. If you're like, I've got like 6 or 7 that I have in mind, or it's a clan tartan that is made by a lot of different mills, you have an opportunity to switch it up. There are some ways to be a little bit more flexible, but yeah, if you gotta have a particular tweed, you gotta get in. Even if you're thinking, well, yeah, the stock Loman blue jacket that you guys have is exactly what I want. It's like, okay, but we could be out of stock on that jacket if you wait till 2 weeks before your wedding.
Yeah.
And need time to get it back in. So yeah, the size I meant, of course.
Yeah.
So if we're just out of stock on the size and the other colors aren't going to work, we've run out of time to problem solve.
Yeah.
So give us some time to problem solve.
My favorite example was a. Not that this is you. You're planning well in advance, and God bless you for it, sir. Mm-hmm. My favorite example was a guy came into the store on a was it a Friday or a Saturday, and he said,
Saturday, if it's the
hey,
example I'm thinking of.
I'm getting married. I want to get an outfit and da da da. So I'm like, oh, great, wonderful, congratulations. And we went through, picked out his tartan, got his sporran, got the jacket, and we're going through the entire process. He's been there for half hour or so, and for some reason it came up in the process. It may have even actually been the jacket. Okay, well, when are you getting married? So make sure we get the right, color tweed or the right size in stock by that point. And he said, oh, tomorrow. And I was like, oh, then these are your options. And he's like, what do you mean? I can't get my kilt made in time? I'm like, no, it's tomorrow. We don't have your clan tartan in your weight, in your colorway, in your measurements, made ready to hand off to you right now. No, this takes time. So yes, God bless you, sir, for thinking this far in advance. Yeah, and when it comes to anything custom clothing and stuff like that, remember, this stuff is made just for you, just for your measurements, to your specs. It's part of why it costs so much money, is it's custom. It's right in the name. So yeah, you need to think a little bit in advance, and the closer to your deadline you wait to place the order, the more flexible you may have to be in either the tartan or the weight or the colorway or the jacket or something like that.
Got you beat. Not to be that guy. We had a guy about 2 years ago come in the store, and we figured it out right away because he led with, do you happen to have my clan tartan, whatever it was, I don't remember, in stock? I said, I'm afraid not. What did you need this for? He was on his way to his own wedding. and he had told apparently his fiance months before that he'd already taken care of it all. And he literally, on his way to the wedding, was looking to get a whole outfit, not even just the kilt, the whole outfit. So we helped him. We put him in something. I don't know how upfront he was with his wife, or even if the wedding still happened, because that's a bit of a red flag.
Sounds like the beginning to a long and trustful relationship.
Yes. Yeah, so we put him. I forget if we put him in a casual kilt or if we found something on the misfit rack, and I don't know what her level of knowing the tartan is either. So
fair point.
So maybe he pulled it off, maybe he didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, she may have just wanted to see him in a kilt, and
Yeah.
like that was the thing. Or
Maybe.
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. Don't
Don't be that guy.
Don't buy a kilt on the way to your wedding. Yeah. But yes, give it a few months minimum. Cool. Slange. All right, Miss Emma, what do we have out in the old YouTube and Facebook land?
Yeah, we've got a lot of great questions pouring in, so keep it up. We've got one from A. Paul VC. What do you do to protect inventory from moths and other pests? What should I do at home?
Okay.
A lot of bug zappers. No, luckily, I gotta knock on wood with this. Luckily, we are not in an area where there's a lot of moths, and we don't have to worry about that as much. For us here, we have a very good exterminator who comes in every 2 months and sprays the entire building just to make sure there are no pests in the building, and we don't have to worry about those types of things, generally speaking.
It'd be too expensive a mistake to have a problem when we could have prevented it. So yeah.
Yep, that's also one of the reasons why we don't accept customer fabric, because if it's been sitting in a trunk or it's been sitting in someone's closet for X number of years and there's moths in it, the moth eggs, and if it comes here, it could infect the rest of the building, and hell no, it's a very, very expensive mistake. So now in the building, so yes, exterminator. In my house, I have cedar chips in the closet. You could also put your kilt in a garment bag, or you protect it that way, or roll it up and either roll it up or fold it and put it in a cedar chest, or in a drawer that is kind of controlled, so not animals, but moths and things won't get in there. Do you have any tricks or tips that you use?
I'll start with the first part of the question. I would say we don't actually have to worry about it excessively necessarily, because we deal with new material here. And generally what the moths are going for is not the wool. It's the skin flakes and oils and stuff that are sitting on the cloth. So that's what you really need to be careful of. So my tip or trick then is, if you're not a serial kilter, you wear your kilt once a year for burns night, or you go to about one wedding a year, clean it after you wear it before putting it away. That's going to solve a lot of problems. Is it 100% foolproof? Not necessarily. So some cedar chips, the other things you mentioned are a good idea, but keep your kilt clean. If you're going to wear it again, if you wear it pretty regularly, it's not quite as, obviously you don't need to clean it every single time, but definitely clean it before it goes into storage long term.
That's one thing. Good point. And that's one thing I've noticed. It's an oddity that you don't have with almost any type of clothing. Is when I wear a t-shirt, if I wear underwear or socks or whatever you put on a daily basis, you throw it in the hamper at the end of the day and you launder it. When it comes to kilts, I've noticed a lot of guys will keep their kilts in the closet, and then, I'm going to need to wear it in 2 weeks, and then they go get it dry cleaned before they wear it. I don't understand why that's a thing. You should, when it gets dirty, you dry clean it and then leave it in the closet, dry cleaned, in a garment bag, or hung with cedar chips or whatever, and then you pull it out fresh and wear it. But a lot of guys don't. They do it the other way. Yeah. And I don't understand why that seems to be just a kilt thing.
I imagine if you're putting it in the closet, you're hopeful that you'll wear it again soon enough. But if you're not, if you know you're a once-a-year kilt guy, clean it right after you wear it.
Yeah.
I would say that helps a lot if it's going to be stored long term.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
All right, Ian.
Okay, I got a question from James Michael Coffin. He wants to know, what makes kilts unique?
What makes kilts unique?
Yes.
Kilts are unique for many reasons. A kilt is there is so much symbolism and so much built into a kilt that you have the tartan, representing a clan or representing a symbol. You have the fact that anywhere you go, people are going to see a tartan kilt and go, either he's from Scotland or he has Scottish heritage. It says so much to the world. It says that you're secure in your masculinity. It says that you're okay being a little bit different. You're okay standing out for the crowd, as well as you're expressing your family heritage. There are so many different things about the kilt that no other garment that I can think of worldwide representing any culture anywhere has those many different bits of symbolism imbued in it and just screams that every single time you wear it.
Yeah. Certainly there's some garments that say some of those things.
Yes, some, not all.
Yeah, not
like
all.
If I wear lederhosen, people are going to go, wow, he's different. And he must be from Bavaria.
Yeah.
But it's not the same, like, and also I know what his family name is, or I know different part, it's, yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm learning something about myself literally right now as you're talking. Because one thing, even when I was younger, I never liked wearing just like brand name t-shirts, like Levi's, American Eagle, whatever.
Right.
I feel like it's because your clothing should either say something about you or should say nothing at all. And wearing a shirt that just says American Eagle or whatever, like, what does that say about me? And I've never bought into like brand names in that way, at least in a way that I want to project out to the world. But the kilt does say something. Like, but what I'm totally okay with, a band shirt or, things that matter to me. Like, your clothes can start a conversation. So, and a kilt does that in a more interesting and meaningful way to me.
Agreed.
So,
I agree.
yeah.
Like it's an interesting, angle you put on it. I would say there are few brands that I feel the need to put on my body and advertise for.
Yeah.
Now, if it's like I have like a Bauer shirt and a Bauer jacket,
but that speaks to hockey, not just the brand.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because I love hockey. Or if it's if I'm wearing a Flyer shirt, or if I'm wearing a Transformers shirt, or if a band shirt, or a
Billabong makes more sense to me because that's like a surfing thing. Like if you're into surfing, that.
Yes, exactly. Or if there's a favorite kilt company, I don't know, USA Kilts, and they have a brand shirt, great, wear one of those.
Yeah.
No, but if the brand speaks to my soul in a way, and I view myself almost as a billboard. So if I'm going to, it's either for my personality or for a brand that I believe in. Origin is a company that has everything that they do is made in America. So I wear Origin t-shirts because I really like the brand and what they stand for. But do I feel that same way about Nike? No.
Yeah, I agree with that. If it's just a brand for brand's sake, not interested. If it's a brand, like you said, Bauer, it tells people that you're a hockey player. Totally get that. Yeah. Totally get that.
Agreed. So, kilts are very much an extension of that. Even just a cable knit sweater. Even though this is this sweater, in case anyone asks, because I was asked about my sweater recently. That's kind of weird, but fine. This I got from Joseph A.
Somebody
Banks.
Asking you about your clothes?
No, about my sweater specifically. They really like my sweater in one of the past videos. This one is a Joseph A. Banks sweater. The only reason I got it is because it has a bit of cabling on it. So it's kind of speaks to the flavor that I'm going after. But outside of me, telling someone about it in this particular video, no one would care that it's a Joseph A. Banks sweater versus Brooks Brothers versus, Aaron Knitwear versus Sal Knitwear. It doesn't matter, but it's the symbolism on the sweater within the knitting that actually matters. So, I love having symbolism within the clothing and having it say something about, me as an individual or my likes or my history or whatever. So, yeah, good on you. Good thought.
So if I can answer James's question.
I thought you did.
No inseam. No inseam.
What was this question precisely?
It was, what makes kilts
What makes
unique?
them unique? Well, skirts don't have an inseam. Dresses don't have an inseam.
True.
Yeah.
True. Most things that you would look at and just see skirt or dress, most cases, you're not going to see men wearing them.
Yeah,
so
that's
a
fair.
kilt.
That's fair.
It's a little different.
No,
that
but
way.
there's also what makes them unique. It's different. You don't see guys wearing, unbifurcated garments.
Yeah.
It does say something about the individual and their security and their masculinity, their ability to stand out from the crowd, do something different, their individuality. It says all of these things while saying nothing. That's the beauty of it, is you can just be an individual without, having to do much. You throw
Yeah.
on a piece of clothing, and now you're that guy.
All of that, but I'm going to piggyback on that too. I say when you shift from wearing torture tubes all the time to your unbifurcated garments, it makes you really rethink the way you dress yourself, because I think for a lot of guys, they tend to wear pretty plain bottoms when we're talking about pants, blue jeans or khakis or black dress pants. And then anything interesting is going to come in up here, whether it's a flannel shirt or some kind of pattern, paisley, if you will. So you're kind of reversing the dichotomy. Not that you can't wear patterns up top, but you tend to want to, go a little bit more plain to be a little bit more safe. So you just kind of rethink every part of your outfit. You start rethinking colors. I've had a lot of wives and girlfriends tell me, "Oh my God, he started wearing kilts 6 months ago, and he's been thinking about colors. He's always been a plain T-shirt, jeans kind of guy, and now he's thinking about fashion. It's so cool to see him come out of his shell." So
what you're saying is you need more attention paid to your crotch, which is why you wear the kilt. It really draws the
like I said,
eye.
no inseam,
No inseam, exactly.
a little bit of mystery.
Yeah. Now it's the lack of conformity, going thinking in different ways. The one thing that I always find amusing with subcultures. So I'll go up, my subcultures that I grew up in. In the punk rock subculture, you wear a mohawk and a leather jacket, and you wear patches and zippers on things, so that you're anti-conformity. You're doing against what the rest of society does, but you're wearing the punk rock uniform and conforming within the scene. So in a way, I'm almost I want kilts to be more popular. Obvious reasons, because we have a brand, but I want them to be more popular so it's more guys can have fun with it. But at the same time, I will lament, if it becomes more popular, I will lament the individuality that it affords you as an individual to be able to be like, hey, look, no one else is really doing this in the same way that I'm doing it. If I go out to the mall and I see 6 other guys in the kilt or 50 other guys in a kilt, I'm no longer going to be, hey, you're that guy. That's awesome. It's going to be, another one of those kilt wearing guys. Jeez.
So as soon as too many people start wearing kilts, you're out of the game, is what I'm hearing.
Yes. Then micro minis. Like,
Okay.
different show altogether. That's gonna be where we end this segment. All right, Emma.
All right.
Now that we're talking about me in a micro mini skirt, go ahead.
Now that
Yes.
we're all imagining it anyhow.
I will say that there is some
I'm sorry for everyone
appreciation.
out there for having to imagine me in a micro mini kilt.
There's
I
some
mean,
Go ahead.
Like, marketing's going to be photoshopping it. They don't need to imagine it. When they see
Fair.
the in post, it'll be there.
People are thanking for the sweater name drop. There have been many compliments on your sweater, so it is eye-catching. So I've got one from Inverness Daddy, who is here.
He wants to see the micro.
Perhaps he does.
That's my OnlyFans channel, Inverness Daddy.
And
It's getting bad too early.
this is a good one, I think, for the new year. Inverness Daddy is asking, greetings from just outside Inverness, Scotland. He lives up to the name. At
I'll
least
be up.
half of it.
I will be up in your area in about 2 weeks. So, cheers.
You want to meet up with Inverness Daddy?
I'm going to meet up with Inverness Daddy. Now, if you see me around town, I'll actually be in Inverness in the end of January.
Alrighty. Oh, so Inverness Daddy is asking, what's next for Celtic culture in your opinion?
Ooh.
Where are we going?
I
New
can't
year?
take this question serious. We're talking about Inverness Daddy. What's next for the culture?
I guess maybe Highland wear, as in broadly too. That's kind of what we
Yeah.
specialize in.
For
Marled yarns are becoming more popular. That's already well underway.
I'm sticking with the culture aspect for
Culture,
now.
okay.
I'm trying to stay with the culture.
Okay.
I will say this, Inverness Daddy, my father of Inverness. So weird. I'm not going to speak to Celtic culture because in America we're not in Celtic culture. We experience the past more than the current. So what's next for Celtic culture would be better off answered by you and your ilk, as it were. But here in America, we would, or in the diaspora, broadly speaking, we're looking to connect with family and connect with the foods and the songs and that kind of thing. So it's a lot of looking backwards, not necessarily forwards. We're looking to see how our forefathers did it, back in the old country, as it were. So we love, seeing how like Edinburgh celebrates, New Year's Eve, or how, it's celebrated on the Orkneys, or, the Uphellia Festival and things like that. So it's cool to see how it's done, but we are not Celtic culture here. We're looking to how it's done over there now for the culture aspects of it. And we're going to be more looking backwards. We're 150, 200 years behind you in celebrating that. My great grandkids might celebrate, what you're doing today. Now, clothing wise, let's kind of spin off and do that a little bit. What's next? I would absolutely say, marled yarns, as you kind of alluded to a minute ago, 100%. More contemporary looks. Like, what do the kids today?
So Supreme T-shirt with kilt.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
The Yeezys with the kilt, or incorporating the kilt into different types of fashiony outfits while maintaining the kilt, the sporran, and or belt and buckle. I would say that's kind of the core of the outfit, and then but what you do around it makes it more or less contemporary or more or less traditional.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I think people experiencing kilts in new climates is already probably changing some things, because people are having to find ways to adapt.
Okay.
We do regularly have customers lament, I can't wear these tweed jackets in the Florida humid heat. I'm like, I get it. This was all designed for Scotland, though, man.
Yeah.
What I would like to see for changes in Celtic culture, and yes to everything you said about we're often looking backwards, but sometimes it means pulling traditions or things over here that maybe aren't over here enough. I would like to see more. Wow, I just blanked on the name of the beer that I want there to be more of. Scottish Wee Heavy. Scottish Wee Heavy beer is completely being ignored by the craft beer movement. We need more. There's not enough. Hopefully the IPAs are finally cresting and we can finally have at least one or two other styles of beer.
Shut your mouth and spit blood. Nope.
More Scottish Wee Heavies, and just Scotch ales in general would be great. There's a good number of Scotch ales out there, but the Wee Heavies we need more of for sure.
Okay. I think what will end up happening is, with the casualization of clothing and fashion in general, I think kilts will be not relegated, but will be included in more casual outfits.
Yeah.
So worn more with sweaters and T-shirts and other things, not just relegated to, full formal outfits.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I think the diaspora does probably better outside of Tartan Army, better than a lot of people in Scotland, is they do want to wear it more. We're wearing it for different reasons. We in the diaspora are wearing the kilt to connect with our family heritage, not national pride, but a little bit of that, and are proud in where our ancestors came from, but more proud of our ancestors. I mean, they left Scotland for a reason. They came to America, they went to Canada, they went to Australia for a reason, to build a better or different life than they had in Scotland. So the ability to look backwards and honor them while incorporating it into everyday fashion now. When I go to a Highland Games or a Celtic festival, I'm not seeing 800, 900, 5,000 guys wearing tweed jackets and vests. You'll see a few of those, yes, but you'll also see more T-shirts and jerseys and, on grandfather shirts or Highland shirts and things like that, because it's our way of incorporating it into our wardrobe and not letting it just stand still. It's not us trying to play pretend Scot for the day. It's us trying to incorporate it into our other types of outfits, the rest of our wardrobe. So it's us incorporating heritage into our wardrobe, not just playing pretend.
Yeah.
That's my way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I think that speaks to there's a lot of people trying to hike in a kilt, so that's going to change how people are wearing it too. That fits right into that kind of thing.
Emma, I'm going to put you on the spot now as well.
Yeah.
So, as she groans and makes a noise. What do you think the future of women's fashion is within tartans, within kilted skirts, maxi mini middies, within all of it?
Yeah. I think there's an exciting future that's coming about. I think more and more, at least from what I've seen and connected with folks that we've had here, more and more women are becoming interested in getting kilts and wearing kilts beyond just matching their partner's kilt, coming in to get maybe their husband a kilt, but then also wanting to know their own heritage and what tartan they, and then deciding to get a kilt too. So I think what's exciting is the more people you have drawn into Highland wear and who are interested in wearing kilts and Celtic culture, the more broad of takes we get on it. So the more people that come in, and I feel like there have been a lot of new, fresh people in, the more the more exciting things happen. So I think that's a really cool aspect of it, and I think that's where it's going. I think we're gonna see a lot more ladies in kilts, and I think I've noticed some more ladies in kilts on Kilts and Culture too, being a little bit more active, carving out space there. So keep it up. I would say it's going good places.
Yeah, when you take the garment out of it and you just think about tartan itself, it is a representation of, or it can be a representation of, your family heritage. You know, tartan is Scotland's gift to the world, and it is your personal family heritage, and it's your story. So the ability for women to be able to wear a sash or a purse or a skirt or whatever in tartan matters as much to them as it does to men. It doesn't have to be a male exclusionary thing. Not that it is, but it doesn't have to be. And it's a big tent. And women will want to express their own heritage in the same way that guys do. And I don't know why we don't think about it in that way enough. But it's, you know, tartan's for everybody. You can wear tartan whether you're a man, woman, beast, or otherwise. It's, you know, it's great to be able to, you know, have fun with it in a fashion way as well as a traditional way. You don't have to relegate it to formal Highland wear, period. It's great, and that is the stalwart. That is the well that everything comes from. It is important that it exists and that it is drawn forward, and you're always going back to that, period. But you can do other things with it as well. And in doing that, in playing with it and having fun with the fashion and incorporating it into your daily life, that's where it has legs. That's where it will be drawn into the future. And as long as you're going back to that same well of tradition, you're inspired by the core, by a good thing.
To broaden the topic back to culture, and I'm going to come around to linking this to the next question too. I think for Celtic culture in America, I think Burns Night is having a really big moment. Like, I think tens, if not hundreds of times more people, or at least aware about it and curious about it than even a decade ago. So I think seeing how that evolves over time is going to be really interesting.
Agreed. And I think that is I'm separating that from the next question on purpose.
Fair enough.
I think that Burns Nights, potentially the little bit of a boom that we're having in Burns Nights could be a post-2020 COVID type thing where people were starved for things to do, and now, like, oh, hey, let's do this thing or do that thing. And in COVID, people started doing more family research and things that you could do on your own in your home, not out in the public. And now that you have that data and maybe some more people connected with their Scottish heritage, then they say, oh, okay, hey, this Burns Night is a thing. There's one local to me. Let's go do that.
And there's goofballs on YouTube talking about it.
That wasn't planned at all. Actually, it wasn't. So, all right.
Okay.
Next question, Ian.
Next question is from good friend David Barr. We are going to our first Burns supper later this month. I have a full American Dream tartan suit and kilt, vest, and jacket. Is that too much for the occasion? I do not have a PC yet. Things keep getting in the way. I do have a Kilkenny I can wear, though.
Okay.
So, how do you want to tackle this one?
I want to tackle David Barr for many reasons. That Paisley shirt's the first reason. The so going to a Burns night and wants to know how formal or informal to be. Is a full tartan kilt suit too much for a Burns supper? Depends on the Burns supper.
Yeah.
Some Burns suppers are very formal. Others are very, I wouldn't say casual, but more smart day wear, and probably down to smaller, like home-based ones where it's like, yeah, I'm going to invite 15 people over to my house kind of thing. That's more casual, probably. If it is, I would say look at the invitation and look at the data for the event itself. If it says it is a black tie event, then a Prince Charlie is going to be, or a black jacket is going to be the right way to go, as formal as you can be. Now, the using Philadelphia St. Andrews Society as a bit of a bellwether here, they have formal events, typically for St. Andrew's Day and November. Their Burns supper is a little bit more raucous, little more scotch. Well, they have a lot of scotch at all their events, in fairness. But it is more smart day wear. That you're going to see tweeds, you're going to see nice type outfits, but not formal necessarily. So it really depends on the people at the event and that are planning the event, what they are willing or wanting to do. Now, if this is your first Burns supper or the first times at this particular Burns supper, I would say check the invitation or check the Facebook invite or whatever it is, or the website. If they don't mention anything, then look at the photos. If they have done it for multiple years, go back to the 2023, 2022, 2021 versions of the event and see how the rest of the people are dressed. If everyone there is in a black jacket and a bow tie, then okay, fine. Maybe wear your Kilkenny with a bow tie or a solid black tie or something like that. If there are a bunch of different levels of outfits, then sure, have at it. Wear your over the top, full American dream kilt suit.
Yeah. And decide how much you want to be a peacock at an event you're going to for the first time. I guess it depends how well you know the people. Even if you're not, maybe you know these people and you haven't been to their event before. Are they open to that level of individuality?
Peacockery,
if you will.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, maybe it is probably safer to go with the more safe option, the Kilkenny, or even acquiring that PC finally. But yeah, if everybody's, if you see in those pictures, there's a guy in a red velvet Argyle, and there's another guy in a tartan PC, and another guy wearing a tweed Inverness cape, and people are really peacocking it up all over the place. Just peacocks as far as yeah, of course, wear that American
There's
dream
cocks
suit.
everywhere.
I was trying not to go that far.
You haven't met me. No, that's a good point though. But you're in wearing a full tartan kilt suit. You are the king peacock in a room of peacocks. So I would, to your point and to reinforce your point, if it is your first time going there and you don't know everybody, then maybe tone it down a little bit just to be safe. You don't want to be seen as that guy, the guy who's looking for all the attention. I know David Barr.
It depends on your willingness to ruffle feathers too.
Yes.
Would you be scandalized if everybody thought you stood out too much? If you don't care, that's a different story. If this is a group you're trying to join, maybe go a little more conservative.
Yeah, I would potentially go a little more conservative the first time, and then once you get to know some people, and or if there's a lot of guys in some over the top outfits, then yes.
Yeah.
But I'll draw a bit of a parallel. In what I tell people is if you're going to a wedding or to an event, and there's going to be dozens of guys in kilts, and everybody there, and you're an outgoing, out there type personality, loud and proud, then sure, wear the full tartan kilt suit. If you're going to a wedding and it's your, second cousin's wedding, or it's a friend of a friend kind of thing, or it's your wife's cousin's wedding, they don't really know you personally per se, and there may not be other guys in kilts, then I would say just tone it down a little bit. You want to kind of,
your personality is a bit more introverted and a little bit more like nervous in that new environment.
Yeah.
Where you're going to draw attention to that.
Yeah. So, well, if in fairness, if your personality is more introverted, you probably wouldn't wear a full tartan kilt suit anyway.
Yeah. Unless you're the type of person trying to substitute your personality with clothing,
Fair.
which I don't think David is.
So what he's saying, David, is you have no personality at all. You are the milk toastiest white dude that we've ever met.
I think David is, not to get too personal in this question because we're trying to make it universal for everybody, but I don't think David's at either of the extreme extrovert. I'm the king of the walk. I want to be the center of attention. I want everybody looking at me, but he's also not the introvert. He's not that guy.
Yeah, no, but it's, try to, when in doubt, tone it down a touch.
Yeah.
If you know what you're doing, you've worn it a dozen times, and you know everyone involved in the event, and you know the personalities that are in the room, and they're loud as well, sure, have at it.
And if after all that advice you're still on the fence, you're not quite sure what to do about this event, I would say, were you invited by an individual? Like, is it a friend of yours who's like, hey, come on out to our Burns night? Check in with them, like quiz them, find out where this specific event lands on the spectrum of all these different possibilities we've created, and kind of narrow down whether what makes most sense for you.
Agreed. Cheers.
But long story short, Burns nights can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
I said cheers.
Sorry.
That meant it was over.
Sorry.
You've ruined the entire show, Ian.
Yeah, I guess we just need to
Son
end it
of a
here.
All right. Miss Emma.
Okay. All right. I think I've got a pretty fun question here from Jennifer Jordan.
Uh-oh.
She wants to know, what else is there for a woman to steal from a man's wardrobe?
Okay.
Some ladies wear centric.
Interesting.
What can
A woman to steal
Like, would she steal a kilt
from a
pen?
man's wardrobe.
Would she steal a Highland shirt? Would she do some kind of tartan jacket and vest? Like,
Now, are
to
we
match
talking-
David Barr?
Steal from a man's wardrobe.
Yeah.
All right, I'll let you start, Emma, because I want to see how you interpret the question.
Yeah.
Is it how to dress as a man, or just one accent piece for her outfit dressed feminine?
Yeah. Yeah, when I go for theft, I usually go for armed robbery. That's my kind of basis. So, Jennifer, I know where you're coming from.
Wallet.
Yeah.
That's what you steal first, of course.
And then the phone so they can't call for help.
Yeah, cash, really, so it's not traceable. Then the phone. Yeah, indeed. Okay.
I like
So
the
I'm,
viewers are getting to see her dark side a little bit that we get to see a little bit of every day.
I'm thinking she's coming at it from, like, sometimes you'll steal your partner's hoodie or a shirt or something
Oh.
like that.
So literally from their closet.
From their closet, yeah.
Okay.
What would I take if I had someone's whole kilt wardrobe? Kilt pin is a base answer, I think, that
Yeah.
ladies wear kilt pins all the time. I would take my grubby little hands and grab a grandfather shirt, actually.
Okay.
I like the grandfather shirts. I think they're really nice, and they go with, when I wear a kilt, sometimes I'll put one on.
a good
They're
answer.
super comfortable. Some interesting thoughts if you would take a sporran. I don't typically wear sporrans, but I know there are some women who do, and that might be worth stealing. That's a high price item to build out your collection.
You also stole my answer. Damn you.
Oh,
All
sorry.
right. Okay. Just name all the parts of the outfit.
Sorry,
I'm gonna
no,
leave nothing
no,
for us.
that's
It's
it.
fine. We
done.
weren't planning to answer any of these questions. Just go ahead, Emma.
That's all I'm stealing.
It's the Emma show today, boys and girls. Go ahead.
Theft is, yeah.
No. Anything else you would like to add to your theft?
No, my bag is full.
That's
That's
enough
what I'm
crimes.
taking. I don't want to get to larceny, so.
That's fair. That's over 5,000.
If it's not a federal crime, is it even worth it?
That's fair. What would your wife steal from your outfits?
It's a good question. I've been with my wife since longer than I've been wearing kilts, and I've been wearing kilts a darn long time. There's nothing that she's specifically stolen from me. I like the grandfather shirt answer, though. That is kind of the Highland wear equivalent of
The hoodie.
stealing the
Yeah.
boyfriend's hoodie. Not that, yeah. I don't know that I have a great answer for this one. I'll pass to you, Rocky.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say I do not encourage theft, but perhaps to borrow an inspiration from a man's outfit. I would say the one thing to play with it in a fashion sense is I could see women playing with sporrans. So the biggest hurdle in this regard, in my estimation, to making it look good is the size of the sporran.
Yeah.
If you are a smaller frame, an average frame woman or smaller frame woman, then maybe look at a kid sporran, like an extra large kid sporran versus a full male, a full adult male sporran, because it just proportionately looks a little bit better on the frame. It doesn't, it doesn't draw your eye. It doesn't look too big for the outfit. That's kind of the one that I would say. A kilt pin, potentially a cap badge if you're going to wear a sash and you don't want to have too ostentatious a brooch, or if you don't like the brooches that a particular company has, maybe wear a cap badge as a brooch for your sash. That's kind of where I would go. Yeah.
Something like that.
Maybe kilt hose, maybe.
The cap badge is a good idea, though, because you can incorporate that into other outfits, too. Like whether it's, a shawl of some kind, whether it's tartan or not.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I could see maybe if they wear like high boots, especially if you have like the Lewis hose, like something with a nice a nice pattern on the top from a company like House Cheviot that offers like Rannicos and Lewis, like a bunch of different patterned tops that also make shooting socks. Something like that as a turnover for the top of like riding boots or a high pair of boots. Maybe that could work well. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with it.
If we're literally stealing from his closet, I don't know if the hose or not. I guess it depends on the.
If he has a pair of Lewis hose.
Yeah. If they're close enough in size, though, that's something to be concerned about too.
Yes and no, because if it's let's say he's a size large and she's a size medium or small, if she's wearing it in a pair of high boots, then it won't matter as much because the heel is going to go up, but it won't matter because it's hidden by the fact she's wearing boots anyway. It's tucked in the boot.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I win this round.
I picking up what you're stepping in.
You're
there.
catching what I'm throwing.
Yes.
Indeed.
I will say, Jen Barry is here, and she's saying go right for the flask. Take his flask.
Okay.
And make sure it's filled, actually.
Well, you can share
If
that.
he has a flask.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, why are you with him? I mean, yeah, that's a good point. Flask, other accessories. Maybe also not take his actual wallet that he needs, but a wallet with a Celtic knot inspired thing.
Maybe
you could
leave
do.
him $20 so that he can get some cab fare back home.
Fair. Why are you calling Uber? It's fine. Flask is a good answer. I like that one as well.
But if he doesn't have his phone because you took it so he couldn't call for help.
That's fair. Shillelagh and beat him with it. There you go. All right. We're encouraging spousal abuse here on today's episode of Kilts and Culture. So leave the comments, send the comments to Ian at USA Kilts. Indeed. All right, next.
So was that question from Jennifer Barry, or was that just somebody who piped in on that on the answer?
Jennifer Barry had piped in on that one, I believe.
Okay. Because interestingly enough, my next question here from Jennifer Barry had shared with us in advance of the show. From a respecting heritage standpoint, is it acceptable for a woman to wear a man's great kilt in her family tartan?
Is it acceptable for a woman to wear a man's great kilt in her family tartan? For this, I think we should ask first. Let's bring in Emma. Emma, do you think it is acceptable, or allowable, permissible, even?
Yeah, I mean, I do not have any problem with it. I think it's a fun idea. I've seen some women do it before.
Would you do it?
I don't get into the great kilt thing so much. They look awesome. I don't have that much time to put something on. So if you have the time to do it, I think it is very cool. There are some things that I would think about when going about doing that. One that we do have era stitches on our website, but they're more like an overskirt to go over top of something, and they're not necessarily meant to be pleated and worn without something underneath the way a great kilt would be.
They're not complete enough of a garment.
Yes, yeah. So you definitely would want to go with higher yardage so you could get all those pleats. But then still keeping in mind, depending on how large your frame is, like it is a lot of fabric when you're getting a great kilt. But I would say, yeah, go for it. It could be fun, and there are definitely some ladies out there who are doing it and doing it well. Yeah.
Thank you. I agree. I don't think that there's an issue with it. If you would also, and this is going to be a bit cumbersome potentially, but if you would also, it depends on the look you're going for. If you ever would consider wearing an Aerositch, the difference between the Aerositch, it's spelled Aerosade, but it's pronounced Aerositch. If you would ever consider wearing an Aerositch as well as a great kilt, what I might do is
At the same time?
get a 4-yard great kilt, and then you'll be able to essentially fold it in half to wear it as an Aerositch, but it would be doubled, so it would be a little bit more weight.
Okay.
Indeed, it would be bulky, yes. So the question becomes, are you wearing a great kilt because you want it to be a masculine look versus a feminine look? Because an Aerositch is feminine. You're wearing an underskirt with it. A great kilt, you're not wearing an underskirt. It's just or under anything. You're just wearing it, and pleating it up in the back and having the flat aprons in front. So it's a different garment entirely. So it is more masculine. I don't think that the family tartan aspect, I don't think matters. If someone's going to have a problem with it, air quotes, it's because it's a woman wearing a man's thing. But at the same time, it's you're playing with it with fashion. So, societally speaking, people are generally more forgiving of women playing with men's fashion than they are men playing with women's fashion. So I don't have a problem with it. I don't think most people would. Some people might, but then that's their problem. It's you playing with your family heritage and your fashion in your way. I mean, tartan is Scotland's gift to the world. It is your personal family story, your heritage story. So do with it what you want. Play with it how you want. You can incorporate, your family, tartan into your kilt, whether it's a great kilt, whether it's a long skirt, whether it's a short skirt, whether it's a man's length kilt. Women play with fashion in a different way than men do.
Yeah.
Ian.
I would say I want to be careful not to put all women into a box and be like, yes, this answer is true for all women, or it's not true for all women.
Agreed.
Certainly people, women too, somehow.
Women are people? You don't say.
They come in different shapes, sizes, gender expressions. So I would just say that, it depends on how much you're trying to mix things. It's going to work better for some women than for others. Some of that you have control over, and some of it you don't as much. Like if the rest of your look has a very feminine vibe to it. If you've got your makeup done and your hair done and you've picked a top that are all very feminine, just throwing a great kilt on top is going to feel
weird. Disjointed. Yeah.
If your overall look is a more unisex style look, it might work a little bit better. That's where I'd land on it, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And it also depends. I'll expand it a little bit and say, are you wearing it in a historical type look context? Are you doing a reenactment type thing, or are you wearing it more contemporary with a T-shirt and a great kilt versus an old-timey shirt and the Rob Roy type bag and yada yada yada?
Yeah.
So it depends on how you accessorize and how you're wearing it and presenting yourself overall, whether androgynous, whether masculine, whether feminine, versus or is it a costume? So there's a lot of different unanswered things here. If you're looking for a masculine, warrior type vibe, then sure, have at it. Boudica in a man's great kilt.
Yeah.
Go for it. If you're looking for a slightly more feminine thing, then I would say, in agreement with you, then no, I wouldn't do that. I would wear it, a more feminine top with an Aerositch, not a great kilt. So,
Yeah.
Agreed. Cheers. Hope that helps. All right, Miss Emma.
Yes. Got a question here from Brian Graft. And he is asking, what do you suggest for sporran straps for larger guys who don't like sporran hangers? I have a 60-inch waist, and I struggle to find sporran straps long enough. And this is something that we encounter in the store a lot. Maybe sporran hangers don't do it for you. Strap would work better, but sometimes it tucks under that pouch there.
I have an answer, and I don't think it's a great answer.
No, I know
but
what you're going to say.
I don't think you know what I'm going to say.
Oh, no. Okay. Sorry.
Pal. This guy. So 60-inch waist. You want to wear a sporn strap. Here's the problem. The actual logistical problem is that cowhides, and we run into this with kilt belts as well. Cowhides are only so wide. So when we go to our sporn maker and say, hey, or our belt maker and say, hey, I want to have, here's my size range of belts I need to order. And I want to order, something above a 57. They will tell us, above 57, because there's a fold over on the end of the belt, yada, yada, yada. We can't do it consistently. We can't give this to you every single time necessarily. So how we get around it for kilt belts is we actually have them sew two small belts together, and then we have what we call a double long kilt belt. It costs us an arm and a leg more because they're literally sewing two belts together. So they charge us essentially double what we normally pay for a kilt belt, and then we have to charge a lot more for that as a finished product. But we can get something for bigger guys. So my thought would be having a sporn strap, ordering two size small sporn straps, and connecting the belt and buckle from one, and then maybe because the holes on our sporn straps span about 10 inches, maybe connect the belt and buckle from one to the buckle from one to the belt from the other, maybe trimming off the end of it, and then putting that behind the sporn to hide it, and then connecting the other bits in the back. That will get you a much longer range, or a much wider range for your sporn, or for your sporn strap, than you otherwise would. So that's my thought on essentially just ordering two smalls or two mediums, whatever the numbers add up to make sure that it's long enough for you in a sporn strap. And then I would also point out that what you want to do is on the side of the kilt, I'm going to shift a little bit to the side here, on the side of the kilt, wear the sporn strap above the buckles on the side of you, so that way it hangs down nice and even in the front, and it's not kind of underlining the belly, but it is, going up and hanging down from the sides, not from the center back, and it doesn't underline the belly, it just hangs nicely in the front. Ian.
Yeah, because I think you're going to run into a lot of the same issues with the strap that you do with the chain in that undercutting topic. For the record, that was like 90% what I thought you were going to say, because it's an uncomfortable topic. But it's a good solution. I hadn't thought of putting two straps together.
That was half of my answer. That wasn't 90%. That was maybe 50%.
But in any case, with those belts you described, where it's essentially two belts, there is a visible join. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. And I'm concerned with the thinness of the straps. To have that done wouldn't hold up, might come apart. So putting two together is a really good idea. I like that a lot.
Thank you. He has nothing else to add. I've beaten him.
Not particularly.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Cheers. Ian.
Okay, I've got a question here from Colin McLaughlin. Hope I said that right.
McLaughlin.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe. Is that FF? Nope. You're right. McLaughlin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm considering cutting a yard off of my great kilt. Apparently this is a whole great kilt show.
It's the all great kilt all the time.
Yeah. As there is simply too much material, are there any notable do's or don'ts I should know about before I do this? And what can I make with that extra yard of material? I'm thinking of a sash for my sister.
Okay. So you got a great kilt, too much fabric.
Yeah.
You want to chop it down. All right. Let's start with the do's and don'ts of cutting down a great kilt.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
some practical
cloth
sewing.
cutting.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right. So we're going to work under the assumption that he bought the fabric from us or from a company that has provided Scottish wool cloth or cloth woven in the UK in their tartan, so that way we know it's not like Walmart fabric where we don't know if it's a plain weave or a twill weave or something like that.
It's important.
So let's assume that it is a twill weave. This is important for what I'm about to say next. So let's say you have a 5-yard great kilt and you want to make it a 4-yard great kilt. Great. And you're going to leave the ends cut or fringe the end a little bit. Okay. So take a scissors. This is the scary bit. Take a scissors and cut at the 4-yard mark Measure twice, cut once, boys and girls. Measure out 4 yards, make a little chalk mark, verify it's correct 100 times before you cut it. Once you cut it, you can't uncut it. And then you're going to cut at that 4-yard mark, let's say 2 inches into the cloth. Now, twill cloth will rip straight. So, once you have 2 inches cut in, grab this side of the cut and the other side of the cut with your hands firmly and rip straight apart, literally as fast as I just did. Don't pull it slowly, because when you pull it slowly and you're pensive in your ripping, you're actually going to let the fibers and the individual strands of wool kind of pull and stretch, and then you end up with like puckering on either side of the cut. So grab it, do the old, Hanukkah Donukkah, grab it and rip as fast as you can, and it will rip straight, I promise you. The only time where it gets a little bit weird is if you're ripping like near the end of a bolt of cloth. So if it's like you want to cut 2 inches or so off of the end of a piece of fabric, then it can get a little bit wonky, because when you pull fast, some of the fabric or some of the fibers may just release, and then you end up with this kind of looking thing on the end. But if you're ripping straight down the middle of a bolt, or let's say 6 inches in or more into the center of the bolt of cloth, just grab it and rip as fast as you can. You want to start it with a 2-inch or so notch, not notch, but a singular straight cut. And when you pull it, I promise you it'll go straight.
Yeah.
Ian, your thoughts?
So, yes, it's important to consider that that piece of material is going to have nice kilt selvages, assuming we're still talking about Scottish cloth sourced from us or somewhere else. It's going to have nice kilt selvages on the long edges. The short edges, we give you a choice of how they're finished. You're probably going to want both sides to match. So if we hemmed the short edges for you, do you have the skill to hem that yourself, or do you have somebody who can do it for you? Something to pay attention to, because I want to open up to the possibility they got this great kilt elsewhere. Did whoever made it, did they tear it or did they cut it? And if it's cut on one side versus torn on the other, is that going to bother you? It probably shouldn't bother me, because they're so far apart from each other.
And one's on the underside.
It shouldn't bother me, but I'm picky, and it would. So
now, okay, well let's
you can
explore
cut
this.
two, but it's a much cleaner. Not that the other one's not clean. That's not a great way to put it, but
correct. But there's a reason why you rip cloth versus cut cloth. If you cut cloth, okay, and by cut cloth I mean you're following the tartan line straight across the bolt, and snip, snip, snip all the way across on a perfectly straight line. That is much easier to fringe, because it just the fabric or the individual strands of wool will pull out much easier as you're going across. Now, when you rip the fabric, it's a little bit more difficult to fringe. So it'll actually, in a weird way, kind of like lock it in. It's not going to unravel. It's not a knit like a sweater, where if you get a pull and you pull the whole thing, it's just going to and just disappear. Do not pull this thread as I walk away, to quote Weezer. But it will, you will have an easier or harder time fringing the fabric, fringing the edge, if you rip it versus you cut it. So if you cut it, it's easier because it's a nice clean cut edge, clean cut literally, versus if you've torn it, then it's going to be a little bit more difficult to fringe effectively.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa. So what was the other question? He wants to make stuff from it. So
Yeah.
what are we going to make from that extra yard of cloth?
Before we get into that, I want to give him one more tip.
Okay.
So if let's say he didn't tell us a specific number of yards, but if you're going from 5 to 4, let's assume that. Who cares if it's 4 yards and 3 inches or 3 yards and 11 inches? What I would say is fold it over to 4 yards, clip it in some way, binder clips or something, wrap it around yourself, see if you like it. And then, okay, actually, I really wish I had 4 more inches. You can still do that. It's not too late. You haven't cut it yet. So it's part of that measure twice, cut once thing.
Fair. It's really more the depth of the pleats.
Mm-hmm.
And or if they find it's just a bit too cumbersome,
Yeah.
or heavy, wearing the extra, piece of cloth.
Just don't get caught up on being whole numbers. You know.
I 100% agree. And
Don't be afraid to even just shift it an inch either way just to get to a better, cleaner line if you do decide you want to cut it all the way across.
Or if your OCD is such that you absolutely need to have this end of the bolt match that end of the bolt. So
Yeah.
this one has a white stripe 1 inch in from the end, and if I cut it at 4 yards, I'm just cutting off the white stripe. No, add an inch. Allow that. Don't freak out later on about your OCD. That I would.
Yeah.
Yes, but
Yeah.
think twice, cut once. So make sure you're 100% sure about where you want to cut it.
Yeah.
Now, what are we going to make
from it, yeah.
with the other bolt or with the other yard of cloth? Emma, we'll bring you in for this as well. You're crafty.
You're apparently
I've
Colin's
heard.
sister.
Yes. So what would you make from a yard double width, so 54 to 60 inches wide, of cloth with a bit of scrap?
Yeah. I'm going with a little pillow for my couch.
Oh.
I would make a cute
could be
little
nice.
pillow.
Little throw pillow?
A little
Very
throw
nice.
pillow. I've made with some scrap from my kilt. I've made a little bandana to match this kilt that I'm wearing, my Buchanan antique tweed. But that is a little bit of fabric, and you've got a whole yard. So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go a pillow, a little piece of decor. I'm a big home decor person.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I would say this, based on your throw pillow idea, because that was my idea as well. And as someone who has 2 throw pillows in tartan, I would point this out. If you are the type of person who lays on your couch and you don't care if they're throw pillows or not, and it doesn't matter if the wife's yapping in the ear, that you're not supposed to lay on those. Those are the good pillows, but I'm tired and that's right here. No, use the other pillow. That one's not as good. Anyway, if you're that guy, not personal experience at all. If you are concerned about that, and you're going to lay on a pillow, if it's a 16-ounce wool or it's a little bit scratchier, if it's like Lochcarron Scottish wool, which is a touch scratchier than the New Zealand wool, then maybe use the tartan for one side of the pillow, but like cotton backing, like a black or a cream cotton back to the pillow versus both sides in tartan.
Something nice and luxurious.
A little bit more luxurious, exactly. Yes. Or a little bit softer, so that way if you're going to lay on the couch and use the pillow as a pillow's intended, not just for looks, but to put your freaking head on, it's fine. No one's going to judge us based on the throw pillows on our couch. But you want it comfortable for your head. Maybe put something a little bit softer. Ian.
So I guess my question.
I really hope my
now-
wife's not watching this show. She never
She's
does, so it's
absolutely
fine. No.
not. So, what tartan is it, and is it the Mary Queen of Scots tartan for these
No.
these hypothetical?
No, not that we would ever do this. Not that we're talking about me. It is actually the maple leaf tartan because it
Okay.
went with the decor, and we had a chair that someone may or may not have. We're still doing the hypothetical, right?
Yep.
A chair cover done in it. She did a great job, by the way. But also matching throw pillows for the sofas on the other side of the room because the green matched the green to the couch that we have. Yes.
Because I would say if it's the Mary Queen of Scots tartan, that's really hard to get now, and you'd be a monster to do that. But no, I think I'm on your side. I think I'm on your side here. Maple leaf's fine. You can always make another one if you need to. But yeah, extra yard of cloth. I think Colin had suggested a sash for his sister. I think that's not a bad idea as long as you have the skill to join 2 pieces together and
Splice
put a hem on it. It's a good option. I had another thing in my head, and it is a table runner for your burn supper that you're hosting would be another good way to go. Similar technique for the sash.
Yeah, there's a lot of home projects that people can do. Like, if you're the type if you're crafty and you make teddy bears, you can make a teddy bear for your son or your daughter, to be able to grow up with a little piece of their family tartan, and it can become part of your family's lore, your family's heritage, your family's pass it down type things.
Yeah.
Think about the things that were passed down in your family that were given to you, and try to create that for your kids. So if there's a wedding gown or a sash, like just think about like what are the things that could mean something later on? Something that's not disposable, that's not just a fashion thing, that's not just something that's going to be thrown away, but something that could mean something, and then do that with it. That's kind of where I'd go with it.
I like that.
And
answer.
that could be a throw pillow with a nice luxurious backing that you could use to rest your weary head after a long day of work and 2 nips of scotch and on the couch watching TV and just relaxing. No,
I don't want to see your nips, Rocky.
leave my nips out of this, Ian.
You brought up your nips.
Of scotch. Nips of scotch.
Oh, okay.
Yes. My scotch nips. Okay. All right. Was that you? All right.
That
Emma,
was me.
deliver us from
Right.
this fresh hell, please.
Okay, I do have a great question lined up, but I think we have a Kilt ambassador. with
Oh,
fantastic
we've gone way over time.
mustache.
Whoops, that's not my fault.
Don't want to deprive
So
the world of
let's
that.
let's go ahead. Our ambassador to this month is Matthew Moreland. Matt hails from San Antonio, Texas, and is a man of many passions, making music, growing a social media following, kilts, professional sports, as well as Disney films. He's even developing his own podcast. His subject is Disney movies and the stories that they're based on. Matt has Celtic heritage on both sides of his family. On his dad's side, MacLeod of Lewis, and on his mom's side, MacDonald. It may be that Matt inherited his passion for his Scottish ancestry from his grandmother, who was also very passionate about the family's heritage. And Matt has been carrying that torch by tracing his family tree and doing DNA testing. He says, knowing my heritage means knowing where I come from. Remembering that my own ancestors came here from other countries to build a better life makes me respect anyone who takes that risk, in the past or the present. Matt's been fascinated by the kilt ever since he was little. The cool factor, the uniqueness, it really just spoke to him. Matt got his first kilt back in 2013 at a Highland Games festival, and he just fell in love with it. As he puts it, while people wear the kilt more than they used to, it's still not something you see every day. And it's a way that I can stand out a little bit and be different while bringing joy to complete strangers. He brings that joy to strangers through his social media accounts. Matt's most active on TikTok as Matthew the Red, where his content is eclectic and fun. He posts about kilts, philosophy, and silly stuff too. Matt is also a huge sports fan, especially when it comes to basketball and baseball. And naturally, his favorite teams are his local San Antonio Spurs and the Houston Astros. Now, a fun way that Matt combines his passions for sports and heritage is by wearing the kilt with his team jersey when he goes to games. He has a few dozen kilts and is the proud designer of not one, not two, but 3 custom Spurs-inspired tartans. He's got a few kilts in the works, and he's going to show them off at NBA home games that he attends. But wait, it gets better. Matt and his girlfriend are also super fans for the Houston Astros baseball team. Now, naturally, Matt had to make a custom Astros-inspired tartan as well. He and his girlfriend are planning a U.S. stadium tour, following the Astros around to as many ballparks as possible during the 2024 season. Now that sounds like a hell of a road trip. I'm trying to imagine being a 24/7 tailgater. Kilts, beers, burgers, and bago at every MLB stadium across the country. Now that sounds like a life choice I can get behind. So here's to Matthew Moreland, our Kilt Ambassador of the Month. So, little cheers to Mr. Matthew Moreland. That man has more freaking tartan designs. And I think he has like 25 or 30 at least in the tartan designer program on our website. So, yeah, he's very excited.
He's not there yet, but he's catching up to you.
He's kind of all in on tartan design. So, yeah, he's excited. He's a true believer. So, cheers to you, Matthew. And if you're up in Philadelphia, I would happily go to a Phillies game with you. I cannot say that I will be able to protect you, but I will go with you and observe the carnage.
Philly fans aren't that bad.
Not at all. So, anyway, cheers.
Pull a prank on him, take him to a Reading Phillies game.
Indeed. That's Phillies fans aren't bad. Now, like Eagles fans, yes. Flyers, iffy.
I don't think. I'll rabbit hole. Never mind. I'm gonna drop
Okay,
it.
fair. God forbid we have fun on the show and talk about things other than culture. No, never happened.
Fans are just as bad in other places there in Philly. People just remember like one example from 50 years ago to throw at their faces all the time.
No, Phillies fans are bad. It's
And they're bad everywhere else is all I'm saying.
from an aspect of my sister-in-law is a Eagles fan. She lives in Jersey, and her husband is a Giants fan, and they go to Giants games against the Eagles at Giants Stadium, and they come to the Eagles to watch the Giants play down here in Philly. And it is a marked difference how she is treated in Giants country versus he is treated here in Philly.
I think that's a stadium full of people who are just interested in sports because it's New York. Part of it. Potentially.
Okay.
I've seen things happen in Philly and it be national news, and I've seen the same thing happen in another city and it is just quiet because it fits a narrative.
Yes, there is absolutely a narrative, and we have a reputation. My point is the reputation is earned. It will get reinforced in the media. But yes, we have a reputation for a reason.
I just think there's places that have earned it too and aren't getting any credit for it.
Credit, not blame. Credit, indeed.
So
Okay, who was that? Who was the last one?
that was me. So
All
I
right.
think we're on Emma now.
You.
My turn. All right. I've got a question here from Mark Brody. And he says that he is planning to order his first Brody tartan kilt. He wants to know how his kilt maker is chosen. Peel back the curtain a little bit.
Okay.
I think we have this get to know your kilt maker segment that's
Yeah.
been a little bit popular. So
Sure.
how do we go about that?
It is a very, very extensive roulette wheel that we have
We throw the
here in
bones.
production. Indeed. I'm assuming by the way that you phrased that the kilt maker is here. We are the kilt maker of choice for Mr. Brody. Ultimately, it depends on the model of kilt. The longer you are here, you move up the ladder. So when you first start off as we've hired you fresh in the door at USA Kilts as the newest kilt maker. You're going to start making liners, and you're going to make sashes, and you're going to make things that are very, very simple. And you're going to learn tartan. You're going to learn the fabric and learn how it feels, how it sews, how to do joins, how to hem, all those kind of things. Assuming that you probably already know some of those things, but we want to start you off on accessories, and then we move you into casual kilts. And typically, the first thing we do is off-the-rack kilts. Things that are not customer-centric. When you kind of get your feet under you, then actually the first kilt you make is usually for yourself or for your partner or for your husband or whatever. Is usually the first kilt you make. Then you kind of move into off the racks. Then you move into custom. After you've graduated custom kilts, so to speak, then you move into semi-traditional kilts, and it's under the watchful eye of one of our team leaders or under Mac, and we are watching every single step of the way and making sure you understand what you're doing. So you're doing one step of the process, then getting it checked, and then you're the next step of the process, then getting it checked, and we kind of train you up, and then we let you do a little bit more of the steps and a little bit more, independent work, so to speak. And then you move up the scale from semi-trad to 5-yard wool kilt to our top stitch 8-yard wool kilt to our premier kilt. So if you're ordering a premier kilt, you're really only at this point right now today, you're going to get Mac or Susie or Casey or Sophie are the 4 that we have making our premier kilts. If you're doing a 5-yard wool kilt, then it's any of those plus Haley or Alicia or Clara. If it's a semi-traditional kilt, now we include also Aldana, and we include, I think Blue is starting to train on those or mini kilts right now. So it's, you kind of work your way up. So that's kind of how it is. I won't say how it's chosen, but how it's narrowed down.
Yeah.
How it is chosen is Mac. Who Mac decides is the one to get the kilt. We kind of spread the work out across the different kilt makers, so there's not a particular one that gets all the premieres or all the top stitch 8-yard kilts. It depends on what we have, coming down the pike.
Yeah.
So if we have 50 5-yard wool kilts, in Appalachian folklore is going to be coming up in February. When all those hit, it's going to be everyone doing Appalachian folklore for a few weeks to get all of those kilts done, and less premier or less top stitch 8-yard kilts. Or if we have a few rushes we work those into the schedule with whoever has an open slot in their schedule that week. So it's really kind of a influx flow. It's like water. It just kind of flows. And Mac does a very good job, thank God, of juggling how all those things work, making sure that the rush orders are done and out the door within the 3 to 4 weeks. The regular orders are out the door within the 8 weeks. Anything emergency that Ian runs upstairs with and says, "Hey, Mac, this needs to be sorted out and done right now. Please fix this. Please adjust this guy's kilt. Please make this sash immediately." And we throw different things at him. It's a beautiful chaos in the production team that they are able to have a schedule, but then have the flexibility to be able to drop things and meet things at the drop of a hat if we need something done at a particular time frame.
Since I work in customer service, the related question we get pretty frequently is, can I request a kilt maker? My answer to that, broadly speaking, is you can ask. Put it in a note. We will not ever make a promise that we can fulfill, because there's so many things beyond whether or not the person can make the kilt, which is obviously relevant. We're not going to give a premier kilt to somebody who's been here 2 weeks because your cousin or your niece started working here.
We can guarantee the quality. That's
actually, I would say Echo's the first thing. We won't do that because we don't like to put bad quality stuff out in the world.
That's fair.
But even if you're getting a 5-yard kilt and somebody can make it, there's a lot of other things in the ecosystem that affect that. Sure, you may have picked kilt maker X, but we have a big project we need them on, so we don't want to put your kilt off several weeks simply because you wanted that kilt maker. So.
Or in the instance of Casey, she just had a baby. She just came back from maternity leave. So if you ordered a kilt, 3.5 months ago, and said, "I really want Casey to make this one. Do you want to wait 5 months for your kilt to come up because she's out?"
And even if your answer to that is yes, we don't want to do that.
We don't want things to languish that long. We want to keep things moving at a particular time frame and keep things going forward. We don't want bad quality. We don't want things beyond a reasonable time frame. We try to keep everything high and tight, so to speak, and moving forward. And it doesn't. Mac will have a nervous breakdown. The man loves to plan things. He is organized as you can get. So if you throw too many different things at him, he may start twitching a little bit and attack someone.
He's pretty good at rolling with the punches, though.
He's gotten better because you guys have gotten better downstairs at being a little bit less, "Hey, do this right now." So it's communication is a key here at USA Kilts and has been on the docket for everyone for this coming year. So we're doing a better job at that, and he's doing a better job at rolling with the punches. Yes. So that's my answer. Okay. Ian.
Yes, my turn.
Yes, your turn.
Okay, so we did that one. So we've got a question here from a Kirk Kinnaman. Seen that before, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
What are your thoughts on flashes / elastic garters versus garter ties? Does one have advantages over the other? But wait, there's more. Bill Marshall asked a similar question. Are garter ties becoming more popular these days? Do sales speak to that? Seems like I'm seeing more instances of them.
Okay.
So there's a lot to chew on there.
Are garter ties easier or more difficult than elastic flashes and elastic garters? I wouldn't say they're easier, or they're just different. So garter ties are essentially long knitted strips of yarn, so knitted, not woven, knitted, so they stretch a little bit, and then on the end they have little fringy bits. It's elastic will compress and stay compressed, and so if you're maybe diabetic, maybe garter ties maybe a touch better, or if you have an issue with circulation. But I would say neither are better or worse. They're just different.
Yeah.
Do you have thoughts on that?
personal preference would play into whether you find them better or worse. I will grant
Agreed,
that.
agreed.
If you're sitting here thinking Rocky's crazy, these are so much better. Personal preference matters. I used to be very solidly a flashes guy. I didn't care for the garter ties. Decided to give them a try maybe like a year or two ago, and I've been swinging pretty hard the other way. I do find garter ties can be a little tricky at first. I know I don't tie mine the kind of standard way you see in all the YouTube videos because that doesn't really work for me. I would say if you're getting a kilt for the first time for your wedding and you're not going to be wearing it in advance, maybe don't try garter ties for the wedding. If you're falling down because you didn't tie them successfully, you haven't quite dialed in the process, maybe sticking with flashes would be a better call. But yeah, if you've already been wearing kilts for a few years and you're looking for some ways to mix it up, I think garter ties are a really interesting way to do that. And regarding Bill's question specifically,
Well,
are they becoming more common?
Hold on. Nope.
Okay,
Not
sorry.
done the first
Sorry.
question yet.
Sorry.
The how dare you, sir? Now it's to tying the garter ties. The flashes elastic garters are easy. There's a metal hook and a metal clip, done.
Yeah.
And then there's a little adjustable bit, so they're easy. They're gonna fit. Period. For flash or for garters, the garter ties. I've seen like 5 different ways to tie them. I've seen people make it, in my estimation, again, one man's opinion. I've seen people overcomplicate it. I mean, when I first got them, and I'm kind of in the same camp that you are, that I was very much nope, I like flashes. That's my thing. I don't really like the garter ties. And I got a pair, and I'm like, I kind of love them. But the first time I tried them on, I was like, I remember, I think Matt Newsom did a video on it, and a few other people did videos on like how to tie garter ties, and I'm like, it's a freaking half knot around your leg. How difficult can this be? So the first time I did it, I just started on the outside of the leg, wrapped it around, did a half knot, and then the only part that I did that was a little tricky, whatever you want to call it, was I took the half knot, and then I wrapped it around, or I tucked it under like the first single loop, and folded the top of my hose down, and I have not ever had a problem with it untying or loosening or anything like that, because you think about it, you have the outer layer there to hold it in place, so it's not going to really move, and I haven't had a problem with it cutting off circulation because I'm not yanking it super duper tight. So I personally haven't had a problem with any of the things that people are nervous about happening that haven't worn them before. So if you've never worn them, give them a shot. They're not the most expensive kilt accessory, and it's not as difficult as you think. You just do a half knot. You tuck it under the thing, you lay it over. You make sure both ends are the same length. That's the trickiest part. Is you're wrapping it around your leg essentially 1.5 times, or all the way around, then all the way back, and then doing a half knot. So as long as you do that and the ends end up the same, and if they're not, it's not like you're spending an hour and a half. You just undo the half knot, you twist it a little bit so that one end's a little bit longer, and that way when you twist it over and you do your half knot, they both end up the same length.
So I've never had to undo it for this reason. My secret is, I fold it in half, so I find the center, and I place that center on the leg exactly where I want it to end, so that when I bring it around the other side and come back and tie it off, they're the same lengths on both sides.
Yes, if you just do a half knot and let it dangle. If you do what I did, which is you then tuck it over or underneath the other piece to kind of help lock it in place a little bit, then that end ends up shorter than the other end.
Oh, I see.
So I do have to do it a little
Gotcha.
off center for that because of the way I tie them. But it's not rocket science. You're doing a half knot on the side of your freaking leg. It's like, play with it. It's fine. You'll be fine. As long as it looks the same as a finished product, you're good. Now, are they more popular now than they have been? What do sales say?
Haven't done a real deep dive on that. We certainly saw a surge when we started carrying them.
For the record, I resisted carrying them for a long, long, long time. I don't know why I was so anti, but I really didn't want to carry them. I'm like, we already have 3 levels of flashes. Do we really need another thing?
Ones.
Yeah, plus tartan ones. Do we really need another thing just to hold your friggin' socks up. But eventually I kind of, my staff wore me down and said, no, we nearly need it. I want to buy garters. And they were ordering them custom when I would order the hose. I'm like, fine, I'll order some freaking garter ties. And then I got them and I'm like, hey, I kind of like these.
Yeah. And I recently talked Rocky. I'm going to do a little tuck here into bringing in some new colors even.
Ooh. Speaking of new colors, we'll do a reveal after this question is done.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, a couple, maybe back in the summer, we added 2 new colors, purple and gold. Great options for a lot of tartans. Yeah, I would say if you're seeing them more, Bill, was it? No, it's Kirk. No, it was Bill.
Yeah.
Bill was the follow-up question. If you're seeing them more, Bill, I would say if it's in the group, specifically Kilts and Culture and related groups, I think the guys who are peacocking a little bit are leaning into those more. Certainly some of them are doing flashes too, but they're more likely to be taking photos. They're more likely to be posting in the kilt groups. So I think there might be a little bit of a false positive there because I think flashes are still across the board selling more, for sure.
Yes, but it's as a percentage, I think we are. We've only been carrying them for what, like 3 years, 4 years, so not a huge amount of time. Since we've started carrying them, we had the initial bump of, oh, you're carrying something new, cool. And they kind of tapered off, but I think there's been a steady rise in people ordering them. Have they been more popular than flashes? No. But have they increased in sales? Yes. I think we've probably doubled the amount of garter ties that we are selling now versus 4 years ago or so.
But we've also increased the sales of everything else too, so maybe not at the same rate.
Correct. I think as a rate, I think they've gone up faster. I think more people are wearing them, and I think you're right on the money that the guys that tend to like them are the guys who are playing with it. They're just, they want something a little bit different. They don't want to have the exact same thing, the exact same tartan, the exact same hose colors, the exact same everything else that everyone else has. They want to do, this is slightly different than the other thing. I'll get the different one so I can be a little bit different.
They're trying to stand out in a crowd, even a crowd with a bunch of guys in kilts where matching tartan flashes are going to be reasonably common at least.
Indeed.
And even solid color flashes are but I don't think garter ties will ever overtake flashes. I could be wrong about that, but I think you're always going to see more flashes.
No, I don't think you're wrong about that at all. I think flashes will always be the mainstay, the main thing. I still think they will always be at the height of garter ties. Maybe they would take 20% to 80%, but it's probably 90-10 or 95-5 in favor of flashes. But I think garter ties are kind of on their way up as a little bit of a trend.
Yeah.
So, indeed. So, hope that helps.
Yeah.
All right. Now, editing note. Adam, Patrick, whoever the hell edits this. We're going to cut out the section where I started talking about this thing. For those of you who are live, you get to see something brand new. Dun, dun, dun. You may or may not know we do a few limited edition runs of two-tone hose. We've done blue and gray to match Nordic Heritage. We did a red and navy to match the American Dream and other tartans as well. The next one up. Ooh! This is charcoal and thistle. We're doing a limited edition run of these. These are available. They're actually on our website now. They've been on there for a couple days. Nobody has noticed.
Or if they haven't bought them.
kind of hurts my feelings a little bit, to be honest. Nobody's noticed. But these are available on the website now. I think we have these up till January 28th. And then, for pre-order. So if you want to be guaranteed, these are up through January 28th. If you have anything with purple in it, maybe, the kilt that Ian is on right there.
It's almost like I wore this on purpose today. For
Did you
this
actually?
reason. No, actually. Okay. I wanted to wear a kilt. I don't think I'd worn it on the show before.
Sure. No, but a lot of guys have asked us about, hey, why don't you carry purple hose? Well, because there's not a ton of purple tartans, and it's a lot to have just straight up purple hose. But I think with the charcoal, it really, kind of cuts it down, but still gives a nice
purple vibe.
Nice purple vibe to it. So if you ever want purple hose, now's your chance. Speak now or speak very soon or forever hold your peace, because these are limited edition, hot off the press, now through January 28th, 2024 we're in.
24.
Yep. We're expecting
check.
delivery, I guess, probably end of February. And we're gonna over order a little
Maybe
bit,
early
but
March,
they will
yeah.
eventually sell out, and we're not carrying them again. So speak now or hold your peace. Cool. All right, that was you question, Emma.
Okay.
Give us an audience question,
Yes.
pretty please.
I
Or
have-
has there been any reaction to the purple hose?
Kirk Kinnaman would like to note that he already ordered a pair today. So
okay.
He's a lovely,
solid.
lovely
Must have
man.
been since I came upstairs because there were no orders for that last I looked.
It was no. It was a couple hours ago. 'Cause
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
he's that guy.
People are liking it though. It's
Nice.
exciting.
We sold one. People are like,
It was.
It's a
it was
massive success.
No, when we did the poll on KNC, it was the most popular one.
Okay.
Was that one? So I'm hoping that they are popular and go very, very well from a sales perspective. Of course, I want them to go well. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Will they beat? That's actually going to be the funny thing. Will they beat the gray and blue? Will they beat the
red and blue?
The red and blue? Now, only time will tell.
We'll see. We'll see.
Vote with your dollars. Indeed. All right, next question. Go ahead.
Okay, so I've got a question here. It's a little bit more ladies aimed, but I think it is a decent one. It's from Bonnie Guthrie, and she wants to know. She would love to order a mini kilt, but she's short. She's 5 foot tall, and from what she's measured, the length of her kilt would be 12 inches. There's no option for 12 inches. Can it be ordered when it's 12 is the question.
Sure.
Should it be ordered when it's 12 inches? We can talk about that
That's
too.
a different question.
Different question. Also valid.
Yes. I'll bring you in a second, but logistically, on the website, the mini kilts. I forget what the lowest number is. We can
14, I
we
think.
can make a kilt to whatever length you need, whether it's a micro mini or whether it's super duper long. We can make whatever we need to make. We are kilt makers. We physically make this stuff ourselves. Double and triple check that 12 inches is the correct length because that is very short. You want to make sure now if you're wearing it low, like low-rise jeans, then it may be fine. But you want to measure, I would also say, back and front. If you have a little bit of junk in the trunk, so to speak, and your posterior goes out and down, that is a longer distance for the fabric to travel than straight down the front. So make sure that 12 inches in the front is not a good length, but 12 inches in the back is a bit obscene, potentially. When you bend over or when you squat down, you want to make sure that it's going to cover all the things you want it to cover. But yeah, if you need a 12-inch length, we can make a 12-inch length. Emma, what would your thoughts on this be?
Yeah, I would say if 12 inches is what you're getting, definitely. But I would also urge caution. 12 is pretty short for what we typically see. I've measured a lot of mini kilts in the store, and the front and back thing is huge. So sometimes I'll measure a woman in the store and we'll say, hey, 12 looks good in the front, it's hitting you kind of on the upper thigh, that's what you want. Let's turn to the side in front of our full-length mirror, and I'm going to point you where 12 inches falls on the back. And sometimes that's not even to the legs. Sometimes we're way out there. So
We're way up there.
way up there, yeah, way out, yeah.
I was like, yeah, I don't want to touch that spot. That's concerning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is a huge tip that we give to ladies in the store when we're measuring them. It's to keep that in mind that it's going to fall differently. Now, also,
Can at
if you're
least.
measuring a kilt that a skirt that you have at home, like maybe a pencil skirt where it hugs your body, and that's 12 inches long, and you feel comfortable in that. A kilt is built differently. A mini kilt would be built differently, and it'd feel differently on because it is not conforming. It's open in the back. So sometimes we do have ladies who, once they try one on of the ones we have in stock in the store, it feels a lot shorter than if they have a 13-inch long tennis skirt. A 13-inch long mini kilt feels much shorter. You get a lot more breeze.
The
where you
oval
might not-
shape at the bottom is wider out than that pencil skirt for
yes.
sure.
Yeah. So I would keep that in mind as well. But yeah, I mean, if you're 5 foot, I mean, we do have some shorter girls in the store who work, and they tend to be a little bit on the longer side still, but they all wear it at the high waist. So the low waist and high waist is also something to keep in mind for that.
Yeah,
I
if
would
she's
say.
wearing it high up on her waist, That sounds concerning, even at her height.
Yeah, 12 inches at my high waist would probably be a belt. I wear my mini kilts at 18 inches long. That's the longest they can go. But I wear it at the high waist, and I'm pretty tall, so can't speak from a 5-foot perspective here. But yeah,
It's been done. We've made 12-inch mini kilts before. That's all I have to say on that.
Okay. The only thing I would point out is it measure twice, cut once. It is a custom garment. So if you are unsure, use a towel or another piece of cloth that you have, fold it over to 12 inches and kind of wrap it around you. See how you like the look of it.
Fish towel, perhaps.
But once a kilt, mini kilt, whatever is cut to the length, you can't stretch the fabric and make it longer. So be 100% sure that you're all in on the 12-inch length before you order it, because it's an expensive mistake to make. So, but yeah, absolutely. Yes, we can do it. If it needs to be done, we can do it. I promise. All right. Ian.
Yes. Okay, I've got a question from abroad here, from Joe Groves. I know the little holes along the selvage are from tenterhooks. Certainly we've addressed that on the show a few times before. But can you work them out, like by rubbing the area, stretching the fabric a bit this way and that? Or are we just stuck with it? Thanks.
Sure. On the very, very bottom edge of the cloth, I'm actually looking and I can see it on mine right here. There, along the edge of the cloth, you have a little, if it's a quilting selvage, or if it's a selvage edge of the cloth, meaning the natural edge of the bolt of cloth, you have a little zigzag line of holes. So here, 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 that are about a centimeter apart, going up and down. Those are what are called, it's an artifact from the weaving process. So the fabric is woven. Once it's done being woven, it's sent to the finishers to be washed and cleaned and stretched to a particular width. So what they do is they actually put the fabric, they stab it on these little tiny pins that are called tenterhooks. And in doing that, then they stretch the fabric to the appropriate width and then dry the fabric so that it is set at a particular width. Now, those little tiny holes where those pins were inserted in the cloth are left on, they're an artifact of the weaving process. It's on the fabric. And if you're using, like you are with a kilt, the entire bolt of cloth right down to the very, very edge, if you hold the very edge of the kilt up to light, you'll be able, as long as it's not hemmed, you'll be able to see those little tiny holes right on the edge of the fabric. Now, those holes will not grow. They will not unravel. It is not a flaw. It is just part of the process. Over time, with wear, with natural movement of the fabric, with washing or with dry cleaning in the case of a wool kilt, those holes will kind of shrink up a little bit over time, but they will probably always be there. If you, as Joe said, as you kind of twist the fabric this way and that, and kind of pull it diagonally to stretch it, could you work them out? Sure. You could get them to reduce in size a little bit, but I can't guarantee, nor can any kilt maker, nor can any mill guarantee that you can eliminate those holes. They will probably always be there to some level, and if you hold them up to the light, you can still see them. I mean, this kilt was wet washed, and I can, at least twice, and I can still see the tiny holes in there. Ultimately, it is one of those things where, and I say this from personal experience, if you have a little bit of OCD about it, you can find yourself kind of picking over little tiny details like that and letting it get under your skin. You just have to wash day. You just have to let it go. Be like water, and to quote Bruce Lee, and just kind of let it go. It's part of the thing. It's part of the beauty. It's part of the process. If you look at it through a different lens, a different personal lens, don't look at it as in there's a flaw in my kilt. There's a flaw in the fabric. Look at it as, wow, that was part of how this was actually made. If you look at it in that way and you appreciate it in that way, you start to see it differently. I'm going to draw a parallel. I've gotten gotten fabric, and I've made kilts before for myself, where there's a little tiny piece of grass, little tiny piece spun in with the yarn, and it just through the washing and dyeing process, like it becomes like white. But you see a little tiny, what looks like imperfection in the cloth of white, kind of spun around one of the single strands of yarn. And it used to drive me nuts. And I used to work at actually trying to pull it out using a seam ripper, pushing it through and trying to get that out of the cloth. And I kind of evolved in my position of it, where I'm now looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, you know what that actually was? That was a sheep in a field, either in New Zealand or Scotland or wherever, that was rolling around in the grass or had a little tiny thing that got into the sheep's wool. And that little tiny piece of grass survived the combing process, survived the spinning process, survived the dyeing process, survived the weaving process, survived all the way through to cloth inspection, all the way through to kilt making. And it is now one tiny piece of grass from across the world that is now on my body as part of my kilt. It is an individual flaw that I've grown to appreciate. It's survived that long. Who am I to now pull it out? If you have OCD about it, sure, pull it out. If you have OCD about the tenterhooks, sure, try to work them out. But I submit to you, if you look at it in a slightly different way, as an individual custom garment, an individual custom piece of cloth, an individual thing woven and made just for you, and you think about all the hands that literally this piece of cloth have passed through on its journey to you, and you learn to appreciate it in that way, it's actually beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's not me making an excuse for a flaw. It's me appreciating the thing for the beauty of the thing.
How very Japanese of you.
They call me nothing if not Japanese.
That's a really nice answer. I like that a lot. It's about the learning process, learning what it took to get you there, and seeing the hands of the people who worked on it in the work there. I will be a little pedantic on one point. We keep using the word holes. I think holes might make somebody think that we've put holes in your kilt. And that's not exactly what it is, because it's woven. When you're sewing, you're not putting holes in the cloth. It kind of is pushing the weave aside. So
Yeah.
it's not that
You're not
hole got
drilling
put
a
in.
hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like that, like you would for, carpentry. But it is just pushing the fibers aside, and then in the process of drying, they dry that way. So, yes, that's why they can be worked out a little bit. A little bit of an iron, especially with steam, will help. Not necessarily going to solve it in one go, Joe. Washing it will lessen them over time. I think customers are particularly seeing this with the PV. I think because of the way they treat that cloth, it tends to hold those. It's pretty rare that somebody not looking for them is ever going to see these in wool. It's rare that they're noticeable even to the kilt maker, and especially after it's been washed. Most people aren't noticing these unless they're looking for them. But the PV, I think, it's a little bit more noticeable.
Yeah, the PV, I will say this. In the PV, they tend to be, when you can see them, they tend to be a little bit more like pressed in. So it's a little bit more of a cone type thing.
Yeah,
like
you can feel
minuscule.
the texture.
Yeah, you can feel it versus just seeing it.
In the wool, you're
now,
not generally going to feel it.
Correct. Now, if you take a steam iron and kind of go along it, you can get them to relax a little. What you're really trying to do is get the fabric to relax. Think of it this way. It is woven cloth, so the things are individually woven in there, and you're putting a pin right in the center of it and then pulling it apart. So you're doing like the here's Johnny between two individual threads. Yes. A Shining reference, winning the thing. So you're literally pulling apart those two threads. So if you steam it, what you're trying to do is get them to just kind of relax. So if you can get them to relax through either pulling the fabric this way and that, or in steaming it, you can get it to lessen, but it may never actually physically 100% go away. But again, I would phrase it a different way. If you have, no one is going to notice this but you.
Mm-hmm.
The only other person that's going to notice it is going to have to be 6 inches away from the hem of your kilt.
Watch out for that person.
And if they're 6 inches away from the hem of your kilt, they're either invited and they're not going to be looking at the bottom of your kilt, or they're uninvited, and what the hell are they doing 6 inches from the bottom of your kilt?
You're going to check out these holes.
Yeah. It's an awkward situation. So, ultimately, it's really not that big of a deal. Don't let it be in your brain that big of a deal. It used to be, and I speak from experience, it used to bother me, but as I kind of evolved in my thinking about it, you just get to see it in a different light, in a different way, and you just kind of let go of your worry and your concern about it, because it's not going to get worse. It's not going to get, it's not going to get bigger or anything like that. It's going to relax over time. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Here ended the lesson. All right. That was you. Emma, we'll do one more from you and then one more from Ian.
Okay. All right. I've got maybe a little bit of a fun one, since we had Matthew Moreland talking about all the tartans he's been designing. I've got a question from Carl Taylor. And Carl really wants to know, if you could design a tartan after an ice cream flavor, what would you pick and what colors would you add?
I
can take
we'll
the
leave
helm
this in
on
for
this
you.
one.
I have one, and but
All
you
right.
go ahead.
All right. So I'm gonna clear the air that I don't like this ice cream flavor. So
Okay,
don't
this is an
come for
interesting
me
strategy.
in the comments.
So you're going strictly for fashion sense.
I'm going for fashion sense.
Okay.
I'm going for the story behind this.
Okay.
Okay.
As a fellow tartan designer in the mix here.
Oh, look at you.
All right. I'm here, and so I like the story of tea berry ice cream. Very
Okay.
local, maybe a micro flavor, if
Yeah.
you will.
Familiar.
Get some purples, some pinks, some creams
Yeah.
in there. Really be interesting. Just a nice tea berry.
Maybe a green, like a
For the
soft,
minty,
like a green,
yes.
green tea kind of vibe going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
If Jace is watching right now, he's making a very nice face. He's very pleased to hear that you say this.
It's a good
Okay.
Jace's face. Yeah.
Okay, so tea berry for Emma.
Tea berry.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting choice.
Ian, what would your ice cream flavor be?
I'm not going to go that way because I'm not the biggest fan of pinks myself.
Okay.
I'm going to go with an ice cream that I really like. I'm going to go with a coffee ice cream because I actually liked coffee ice cream long before I drank coffee. And I like browns. I wear a lot. I'm not wearing any today actually, but I do tend to wear a lot of brown.
Okay, so but coffee ice cream is like one solid
It is. That is the
color.
problem. I mean, maybe you get some chips in there, so you get some dark brown in addition to your light brown.
Still 2 colors. You failed. It's a
Yeah.
horrible tartan, dude.
It's potentially not great, so yeah, I don't know. But maybe you
Okay.
pick your favorite brand of coffee ice cream and include their branding colors in there.
Okay,
To kind of
okay,
expand the range a
okay,
little bit.
okay.
There's ways to cheat this.
Okay.
And introduce some more interesting colors.
Interesting that your initial thought is, how do I cheat?
Yeah.
It's wonderful of you to,
Yeah,
to be able to
I'm
cheat.
cheating on my
Cheating
diet.
our viewers, yes, indeed.
Just cheating my diet with that coffee ice cream, so
See-
might as well cheat on the tart.
See, I'm gonna go with similar color palette.
Okay.
Cinnabon ice cream.
Okay.
Going to go with the
Some more creamy
tans,
elements.
creams, the browns. Get that the darker brown in there for the swirl. So kind of a very earthy vibe to it. I could see that as a good flavor. To do a
For tartan design, I'm in.
Yeah.
I like the colors here better than I like the tea berry. If it's an ice cream flavor, I'm going tea berry all the way. Because if I'm having Cinnabon ice cream, that's just going to make me mad I don't have an actual Cinnabon. I don't doubt it's delicious. It's not going to not be delicious. It's all great flavors for ice cream. But I'm just going to be like, man, I should have just gotten a Cinnabon. I have similar feelings about ice cream cake. I never want ice cream cake. Cake is better. Ice cream is better. Why are we messing around with ice cream cake? It's not that ice cream cake is bad, because it's not. It's just sugar and all that stuff.
You know what I don't like about ice cream cake? Because now we're talking about ice cream cake. Melts way too fast.
Yes.
I've noticed that. It's either too hard or it's soup.
I like it better when it's a little more melty, though.
No, it's either too hard or it's soup. There is no in between. And two, and it's probably the icing that they put on it, stains the hell out of your mouth.
Oh.
So every photo, you go to any birthday party with ice cream cake and take any photos, you got green friggin' teeth. That's it, or blue. So no, ice cream cake, hard pass.
That's how
No,
you know
thank
which kids don't brush their teeth well enough, though.
It doesn't matter. It's still going to be a weird freaking color. Any other ice cream flavors that we would do for... Has anyone in the audience mentioned ice cream flavors that they would make a tartan out of?
We've got some interesting options here. We've got Robert Leverton saying that coffee is bingo. You're spot on there. I think you're designing a tweed more than a tartan.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. But maybe I'm designing the tweed to go with your
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. It's making me hungry.
Jen Berry is saying butter pecan ice cream.
Yes, I'm on board.
Also in that kind of same. Brian Graft is suggesting Neapolitan for a cursed tartan, which is also, 3 colors.
Okay.
And there's one interesting in here.
It's like Matthew Moreland would do that for a Spurs tartan. That's actually just those colors in the equal blocks. Sorry, Matthew.
Sean Moriarty. He's saying that the best ice cream flavor he's ever had is blue corn tortilla ice cream.
Interesting. I would try
It haunts
that.
his dreams. It was so good.
Blue corn tortilla ice cream.
See, I'm here for it only because my if you ask me my favorite flavor of ice cream, if I'm going to the ice cream shop, it's the one that I've never had before. I'm always like, oh, interesting. I've never had that before. I'm going to do that. Can't think of a good one I've had lately.
See, but all ice creams are going to be in the like earthy kind of creamy palette. Whether it's like browns and creams and like even like if you went like orange or peach flavor, it's still it's based in that. So
too many are too monochromatic.
Yeah.
They don't all have to be, and too many are going to be like vanilla based. So if you're trying to get the proportions to match your ice cream flavor, I don't like a lot of cream in a tartan. Sometimes a dressed tartan looks okay. I don't own any of those though.
No.
And I'm not buying your tartan if you
no,
design me.
I'm definitely doing cream as a secondary color.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Tweeds.
At most.
I feel like there'd be better ice cream tweeds than there
Just
would.
because you get the flecks of things like your ingredients.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's a very avant-garde question. I kind of love it and hate it simultaneously.
Fun. More of those for next month.
All right, Ian, one more.
One more, yes.
What do we
Let's
got?
do one more. Paula McLean has asked, I've heard that white hose are not appropriate and makes you look inexperienced or novice. Is this true? What about off-white?
Okay. Cream hose, white hose. All right. The white hose craze or cream hose craze kind of started in the 1980s with pipe bands. Thanks a lot, pipe bands. And then from there, it kind of morphed into the tartan hire or the kilt rental industry or kilt hire industry. So to me, and from there, it just kind of grew legs and has continued.
Legs. I see what you did there.
I am not a fan of cream hose. I am on record as saying I'm not a fan of cream hose. I have a new thought on why. I've never phrased it this way before. They lack personality. Not the person wearing them, but the hose themselves kind of lack personality. When you get into wearing kilts and you start obsessing over the details and you start thinking about your outfit and evolving the way that you put things together and the colors that you want to play with, or the shirt that you want to match with the kilt, or you have multiple kilts and you have multiple browns for your sporran and all this kind of stuff, you start thinking about color theory and things in a different way. And in that vein of thinking, cream hose are kind of boring to me. It's not interesting. It's not something I want to go to dinner with and talk about. But you can do so many more interesting things. So in my mind, why pick the most or the least interesting option for your hose? I would rather do, a color to match, or to pull out one of the different colors in the kilt, or a color to match your jacket or the top that you're wearing, or I would do two-tone kilt hose. Maybe charcoal and thistle. But I would rather do something interesting with the hose to play with it a little bit and do something different and not just white because it matches everything, or white because it's, boring, or I couldn't make up my mind, or it matches everything. So that's the one I want to wear because it matches everything. I would rather do something a little bit more interesting as a conversation starter. I'd even rather, and I can't believe this is about to come out of my mouth, I'd even rather see a pair of red hose, which I still hate, by the way, a pair of red hose, like bright red, than cream hose. Are you that hateful, spiteful of your cream hose?
I don't go as strong as you, but I also don't wear cream hose. Cream or white, for that matter. I won't go so far as to say that the people who wear them have no personality.
I didn't say the people have no personality. I said cream hose have no personality.
I think I'm a near daily kilt wearer, and as such, I wear my hose a lot. So in that regard, they're just gonna get dirty. They're gonna look dingy after not too many wears, and that makes them not a good value for me. I can appreciate for very formal wear, sometimes offsetting the white in the shirt is fine, and, certain types of hoity-toity events, white gloves kind of attitude. I wear white because I don't get dirty like those peasants. Mm-hmm. That's not the type of life I live. So not that I'm,
He's actually a slob. He
Not that I'm-
spills on everything.
not
It's
that I'm in
horrible.
my kilt cleaning out the barn either, but yeah, I'm never gonna wear cream hose. I'm not as hateful and spiteful as some, but they're never gonna be for me.
Emma, are cream hose for you? Do you like cream hose?
Interesting. So I do occasionally wear hose. I've never worn cream hose. The coloration issues would be, like, after a few wears would start to grate on me, I would say. But when I'm putting together an outfit in the store, I don't tend to be so hateful, so awful to
Aggressive.
the cream hose sympathizers out there. It's not terrible. I do like cream hose in one scenario. I like when you're decked out in your full PC, and you've got the brogues on, you can see the contrast of the brogue laces against the hose, and you get this like full, almost like if you took a picture from, so many years ago, and you're standing right there, you look just like that. I think that's really cool. Not just like that. You look close to that. You look cool, And
I'm picking up what you're putting down on the contrast thing. I think that's a very good point.
I agree. I think you can get just as good contrast with a good pair of colored hose, though. Like an ancient blue with that tartan, you get a fair amount of contrast to your black shoes.
You can get a fair amount. You
Yeah.
can't get the same amount. Black
No.
and white are literally the furthest apart you can get for contrast.
So I've heard.
But you can. I agree. You could still get a reasonable amount of contrast
Yeah.
in ancient blue or ancient green or like oatmeal, like a stone kind of color. I think would be nice on like a weathered tartan or something like that. So I think you can still attain the contrast to your point, which I think is valuable. And I like that better than I like having some contrast with ghillie brogues than like black. Black, it just you might as well be wearing just regular wingtips. So interesting side point. Very nice. I still hate cream hose. Still wouldn't do it, formal or not. But the contrast is a very good point.
Contrast is good. If I was going to try to, and maybe I wouldn't do it with this kilt, I'd want a kilt that maybe had some cream in it, even if it was just a subtle white stripe. What about, like, it's a black shirt, white tie, white flashes?
White flashes.
It's a fair amount of contrast.
I could see.
I've heard that white and black are pretty opposite.
I've heard that as well. A wise man once said that. I can see white flashes. It still wouldn't be my go-to because it's a bit much, yet at the same time boring. But it's different because you don't see them a lot. So maybe it could work.
Especially if you had a dress tartan on, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. But I think I would still probably pick a secondary color in it, not white.
I tend to agree.
Yeah. Okay. All right, boys and girls. Question of the day: cream hose. Are they Satan spawn, or are they mildly acceptable if you're one of those people? Let me know in the comments if you like cream hose or hate them as much as this guy. I'm very curious to know. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, boys and girls.